before I start talking about anything, I'm gonna tell you a story. So sit down, get nice and cozy, and make sure you're taking notes because there will be a test. So one day last semester, after my class had ended, I was chilling just talking with some classmates, and we happened to notice that our professor left his bag in the classroom. And once we realized he was most definitely not coming back for it, we ended up having to stash it somewhere so that he could come back and get it because he had already left campus. So the next day we ended up seeing him again, and I asked him how long it took for him to realize he didn't have his bag. And he said he was about halfway on the road home, and then he realized he didn't have it. And because it has all of his work and literally everything else in there, you know, it's probably a good idea to go back and get it. But if he did go back, he would have to miss picking up his kids at the bus. So he had to call up one of his neighbors real quick and was like, yo, listen, I'm not gonna be able to make it home in time to pick up my kids. Like, I gotta go back to the campus. You think you pick them up for me? You know, get them, make sure they don't get kidnapped. Except he probably didn't say it like that because he's white and from Alabama. But he asked his neighbor if he can do him a solid. Sorry it's so short notice, but I need to pick my kids. And the neighbor was like, cool, got you, no worries. So he was able to drive back to campus, get his bag, drive back home, kids are safe at the house, and everyone lives happily ever after. The end. Now, you're probably thinking, what does this have to do with any, like, I'm confused as how, just quiet. There is a method to the madness, okay? I promise you, everything will make sense in due time. You may not understand it now, but in the future, it will come in handy. Women aren't having kids anymore, apparently, and it is a very, very big topic of conversation and has been for like the past few years. There's a lot of very political discourse about it, oftentimes very black and white political discourse because that's typically how it goes. And at the same time, you have a lot of women coming out talking about their experiences, specifically on TikTok, when it comes to parenting or being a single mom and how horrible it can be and how that's also contributing to the declining birth rate and blah, blah, blah. But I feel like something that is not truly honed in on or talked about enough when talking about this topic is a lot more of the social aspects. You hear about the economy, money, the patriarchy, romance being dead because there's no good men to have children with. You hear all of that, and that's perfectly fine. I'm not saying those aren't factors that need to be taken into consideration, but I think a really big factor that we're missing is people not having good enough support systems. And like, it is talked about, like it's brought up every now and then in videos, but it's oftentimes like a very small portion of the video. Like most of the video ends up talking about things like the economy, which is very crucial and important. But I specifically want to focus on the social support aspect for today because raising a child is kind of hard. And a lot of these people talking about the hardships of parenting comes from single mothers. Talking about not being able to care for themselves, not being able to have a them day, just like a relaxed day for themselves. Talking about how hard it is to keep up with everything, how stressful it can be as a parent, especially for smaller children, because they have a habit of being absolute menaces to society.
This is the type of shit you gotta deal with. Water on the floor. He put the cashews and water in a blender.
When I first seen this clip, I felt so bad for laughing as hard as I did. I promise you I'm not laughing at the mom. Just for the record, I love children personally, but sometimes I really just gotta sit back and wonder what is going on up here? What was the thought process behind this entire endeavor? What was the end goal? What was the mission? Yeah, mothers, they do a lot. They handle and they shoulder quite a lot. So it's really important to show appreciation to them every chance we get.
Hey you, do you want the perfect way to show your mother you appreciate her for all the work she does?
Hello?
Are you struggling to find the perfect gift for Mother's Day?
I know schizophrenia runs in the family. I just didn't think it would get to me this soon.
Then I have the perfect solution for you with Ana Luisa, the sponsor of today's video.
Excuse me?
It's the perfect Mother's Day gift. Show mom how much you care with beautiful, unique pieces that scream, I appreciate you. Or not actually, or that would be scary. Choose from a variety of different pieces, like our showstopper mixed metal earrings. You've got the Asher, its cooler cousin, the Asher Drop, and the weird distant cousin, the Ash Double. Pair it with different pieces, like the Lev necklace or any other piece to really make a statement. Their pieces are water resistant, hypoallergenic, and all have a 2-year warranty on them.
Wow!
Ana Luisa prides themselves with uniquely made and sustainable jewelry pieces and are very transparent about who they source their materials from, so you can rest easy knowing your mom gets the best of the best. You can also throw in this beautiful gift box to add a little pizzazz. Click the link in the description and shop up to 25% off of everything store-wide. And thank you to Ana Luisa for sponsoring today's video.
Now back to your regularly scheduled program.
So having to raise a living, breathing human being on your own is hard. I think a big part of women not wanting to have children, or maybe realizing it might not be a good idea, idea may come from the abundant amount of stories of how hard it is trying to raise them on your own, because they simply don't have other people in their life to help grow them, which is kind of important for the child. As mentioned before, a lot of these people are single mothers, and not to say you can't be a successful single mother or that a mother can't raise her kids on her own. It's just definitely a lot harder to do so when you have to do the shopping, make the income, manage the house, manage their job, and also other people in their lives. Which begs the question, where are the fathers?
I just don't understand why men just be out here dropping these kids off on women, and then y'all just think that we supposed to just do it all.
So let's all just be pretty transparent here. A lot of the times, men in the relationships, when they have a kid, are absent. They went to go get the milk and they never return. It's kind of, unfortunately, seems to be a common occurrence that a lot of these women will get into relationships with men who like the idea of having a child but don't actually want to commit to doing it. There's too many instances of women having to do a lot of the work when regarding the children. And when it comes to child support, that's a whole different issue and just gets messy. But this has become so common that there are even phrases like fatherless behavior that's used as an insult against people who did not grow up with a father, which doesn't make a lot of sense because that's not really their fault. It's kind of the father that failed the child, but okay. It's gotten to the point that whenever we see a guy just doing the bare minimum of taking care of their child or just even interacting with the child, women will just kind of fawn over the guy, myself included, I'm not gonna lie. I can't tell you the amount of times I'll see a guy just playing with a kid or something like that, or like taking care of them, whatever. And the comments will be filled with women who are like, oh my gosh, such a good father, he'd make such a good dad. And interestingly, women who do the same thing don't get the same reaction. If anything, it's expected of them to be good mothers. You're the mom, that's your job. You're supposed to change the diaper, you're supposed to play with the child, you're supposed to feed them and take care of them. And yes, you're not wrong. I never did understand the logic of certain parents that would go, I put a roof over your head and food on your table. I'm sorry. Is that not your job? Won't you get arrested if you don't do those things? So obviously expecting a mother to do mother things is fair, but let's not leave the fathers out of it either. We should be holding them to the same standards and those same expectations. I think the bar has gone so low that whenever we see a guy doing literally anything with a child, we're just inclined to applaud because we're not used to seeing that. That's not to say that there aren't good fathers out there, because there definitely are. I mean, a lot of the professors I know are great fathers. It's just, in terms of society, it seems like a good father just means a present father because we're not used to seeing them around. But because of all this, these women get virtually no help from the fathers. Even if they do pay child support, which is kind of the bare minimum once again, that's still not gonna help mom with all of the other labor involved. Taking the kid to the school bus, parent-teacher conferences, helping them with schoolwork, cooking, cleaning, shopping for food, because kids eat a lot, managing their own work, their own job, paying the bills, taking care of the house, taking care of other people, familial and friendship issues. And when it all gets down to it, she doesn't really have time for herself, or even really to give the kid enjoyment. I mean, she takes care of the kid, but she maybe doesn't have time to take them to the park or go to the mall with them or just do stuff with the child. So with no help from the father, who else can she turn to? What about other people? The saying is, it takes a village, right? Sure. Except there is no village. The village is dead. I'm gonna redirect us to the story that I told at the very beginning of this video. You may not understand it now, but in the future, it will come in handy. I remember when he told us that he had to call his neighbors to go pick up his kids because he wasn't gonna be able to do it. And I sat back and thought to myself, how many of us would be able to do something like that? Just so short notice, out of the blue, be like, yo, can you watch my kids, please? Keep them safe, make sure they don't get kidnapped. I'm thinking a lot of us probably would not be able to do that. Quite a few of my professors that I know talk about their relationship with their community and all of their neighbors and stuff like that. And it really does seem like a lot of them have great connections with their neighbors. They can rely and trust one another, they share resources with each other. Most of us don't even talk to our neighbors. People don't even wave in communities anymore. It's like, you try to wave and they stare at you. Am I the only one noticing that? Like, I try to wave, I try to be all friendly, whatever, your good friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and they just... I talked about this briefly in a video I made a while back in the Stone Ages, but I was talking about the weird occurrence of children not really going out to go trick-or-treating for Halloween. And while I personally don't celebrate Halloween, there's many instances of people online, as well as in real life, and people that I know personally, that talked about, like, little to no kids knocking on their door and trick-or-treating and going out to get candy in their community on the night of Halloween. No one's knocking on the doors, no one's getting into costumes, no kids out in the street, no laughter through the night, nothing. It's just dead. And people were quick to chalk it up to just, oh, these kids on their tablet inside watching Cocomelon all day. That's the reason. And while I'm not saying that's not a reason, there's several reasons that it could be the case. And what I was trying to express in that video is that it could be because communities are not so communal anymore. Nobody trusts their kids running out in the streets with the neighbors' kids or by themselves. And they're too tired to go outside with them after a long day of work and not trying to be up till 1 o'clock at night collecting candy. With this lack of interaction within communities, there's no trust being built. Everyone barely knows each other, so there's no way they're gonna just let their kids be picked up by one of their neighbors because you left your bag at work. So a lot of these mothers don't seem to have a community to help raise their kids. She may not have family nearby to help them, and she hasn't really established a relationship with people in her community, whether it be like a community of homes or the apartment complex or wherever she is. To have somebody watch the kids while she takes a day to herself to go to the spa, get her hair done, read a book, I don't know, just relax. And the stress of that can kind of pile on, like a lot. That's why I'd argue having no outside support, it's what's doing the biggest number on people like not wanting to have kids or maybe not successfully thriving at raising them, even more so than money. Because again, the number one, reason you always hear is having a child in this economy is like the go-to answer. And I'm not saying obviously money or having enough funds would make it easier, because it would, but even people with lots of money put their kids in daycare or after school programs or have nannies or like a personal driver so they can take them back and forth to soccer practice. I don't know what rich people do, okay? But the point is they don't do it alone. And you're probably thinking, well, duh, that's why money is good, because then you can hire all those people. No, you don't need to spend money for those types of people if you just had a community. Even if you don't have a lot of money, if you have other people around you that can lighten that load and lessen the burden of having to watch the child 24/7, you can share resources, money, food, shelter. It would make things a little bit easier. Speaking from experience, we didn't have a lot of money at a certain time when I was young, but we did have family that could help us out. We had neighbors. Specifically back when we lived in New York when I was really young, everybody knew everybody on the block. Our family was everybody's family. It's more communal and it lessens the load when you have other people to help you. So what happened to that? Well, Western society, and America in particular, has always tended to be more individualistic, which I've talked about on my channel before. While I'm not completely against the idea of individualism, I think it's really important in certain circumstances. So that way you don't try to couple people in and make them a monolith. As a Black woman, that tends to happen like a lot. I do think we take it a little bit too far, just like we do with everything. Individualism has gotten a lot more popular and prominent over the past few years, and it's very possible that it's making its way into our familial and communal life. Cutting off family and friends, not talking to neighbors, not interacting with them, not making more connections, more enclosed with our own ideals and beliefs. And the interesting thing that we see kind of going on with this whole women aren't having children anymore pandemic is that the idea is being rejected and pushed away thanks to more individualism. So there's obviously a lot of pushback from women when they are being pressured to have kids when they don't want to have kids. With people saying stuff like women aren't doing their jobs. Now, if I wanted to make like a valid excuse for this, you could say from an evolutionary standpoint, it makes sense, this type of like urgency and concern, because if we're not reproducing, the species will go extinct. But something tells me that's not the biggest concern of the reason why the higher ups are mad that women aren't reproducing. First of all, we've got 8 billion people on the earth. I think we're okay for now. Reducing a woman down to the ability of her to give birth is, 1, dehumanizing, and 2, once again puts all the pressure on the women and not the man who also worked to help create the child. So the pressure of trying to get women to have kids is very, very unnecessary. There's no need to have a child if a woman doesn't want one or if she can't afford one. Logically, it just doesn't make sense. So I'm very against all of that nonsense that you'll hear from other people trying to pressure women into having a child. I'm also very against the thought process of women telling other women not to have children because it'll ruin their lives. So because of this whole thing, so many women has been going online talking about how their kids stress them out, encouraging other women not to have kids, and even some of them going as far as to say they regret having their children.
This is the type of shit you gotta deal with. Water on the floor. He put the cashews and water in a blender. I'm tired. Every day is something.
Whoever that has no children, please. And if you want some, please stop the want.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to be responsible for this tiny human. I just want to be responsible for myself, and it's too late now.
Look, I know parenting can be a lot. I know it can be hard. I know sometimes you get to dark points in your life, and you say things that maybe initially you didn't mean, please don't go online saying stuff like this. This is something that needs to be talked about with a therapist, with a close friend. Journal it if you must. Don't go online saying you regret having your child. Can you imagine being the child who didn't ask to be here, by the way, watching your mother tell millions of people on the internet that she wished she didn't have you? That would ruin me for the rest of my life. Now I gotta go make sure my mom doesn't have a TikTok account. With this really big push of more individualism, of encouraging women to look out more for themselves and to focus on themselves, work on yourself, treat yourself, don't have kids, it'll just drain you, it'll ruin your body, you won't have time to do anything for yourself, right? That whole thing. This also kind of weaves in the debate of like whether or not kids give your life meaning or that whole thing, right? So I'm not a mother, so I may not be completely qualified to speak on this because I already know I'm probably gonna get comments like that being like, unless you're a mother, you don't understand. And you might be right, Bethany. You might be right. But as an eldest sibling who basically takes care of my younger siblings as if I was the mother, I'm just gonna throw in my little 2 cents, okay? We all yearn to give a part of ourselves to someone else. As social creatures, it's in our nature. As much as individualism teaches us to live for ourselves and do things for ourselves, be our own person, the thing is, we still, in several different ways, live for other people. We suffer for other people. We sacrifice for other people. And arguably, that's a beautiful thing. We do this for family, for parents, for siblings. And yes, some of them we don't have great relationships with. And yes, some of them get on our nerves. But we end up doing it anyway. It goes a step further with friendships because now these are the people that we choose, who we want to have in our lives. We have to learn about them. We get used to their behavior. Then it goes even further with romantic relationships, choosing the person you want to be with for the rest of your life and possibly starting a family. And then finally, a child, an entire new creature that you bring into this world. It's like the most extreme version of all the sacrifices that you have to make, all these changes, all these compromises. When people say children or having kids give you meaning in life, I understand that it may bother some people because it's basically saying if you don't have kids, then you're not fulfilling your meaning in life. But I think the interpretation of it is having kids is a huge sacrifice. It's a very, very big part of yourself that you have to give. And that is what makes it meaningful. Because the thing is, we all do this in some type of way. Whenever people will point out other women, or sometimes women themselves will get online and be like, I'm 35 and no kids. I feel so free. I have time and freedom and money and all this other stuff. Good for you. Great. I'm happy for you. But that happiness isn't solely nor simply just because of the act of not having a child. It's just a child is not one of those things that you have to give those sacrifices and compromises for, which take a lot. But you're still giving your life to someone else. Friends, family, a pet, a plant, I don't know. The idea is that fulfillment is coming from someone else, is coming from pouring your life into someone else. I think that the intense emphasis when it comes to individualism and only doing things for yourself has really messed us up in the way that we perceive relationships of all kinds and how relationships are actually supposed to work. I saw kind of a disturbing comment the other day. I'll put it up on the screen, so this is not verbatim what I'm about to say, but it was basically along the lines of, I hope for the day that women learn to give themselves love and then give others whatever is left over. No, that is horrible advice. Please don't do that. We were not made nor meant to live for ourselves. The ourselves that we are wouldn't even be here if it weren't for other people. I understand the sentiment. Like, don't get me wrong. I completely understand what people are trying to say when they do the live for yourself, be yourself, treat yourself, whatever. I'm not saying people shouldn't treat themselves well, or that they shouldn't know when to stop giving so much of themselves to other people, so much so that it burns them out, because people will absolutely take advantage of that. And I am in no way, shape, or form telling you to be a doormat, but relationships are supposed to take a lot out of you. It's supposed to take a lot of work and effort and sacrifices. I want people to understand that it's not just kids. Kids, again, arguably are the more extreme version of that, but it's all the relationships that we have, that we pour our lives into. The fulfillment that we get is from those relationships that can sometimes be frustrating. Telling people to give the leftovers of your love after giving it to yourself is not going to last very long, because we aren't meant to be alone, to be completely individual. Just like the idea earlier that I was talking about of being able to have a community to help you raise a child, it's not something that you should have to do alone. They're going to be difficult, which is why to maintain them you need support, you need patience, you need time, you need understanding. You have to look outside of yourself. Whether or not you have a child is ultimately your decision. I want everyone watching this video knowing that you are not failing at your job because you're not having a child. No one should be pressured nor obligated to have one. I wouldn't want someone to have one if they genuinely didn't want one and knew they weren't going to take care of it. There's too many kids out here being mistreated because the people raising them are just bad people. They don't deserve that. They didn't ask to be here. If you don't have the resources nor the mental capacity for it, don't do it. It takes a lot out of you. But so does every relationship. That's how you build trust and community. So then we don't end up burdening ourselves completely with the emotional, mental, and sometimes physical labor of having to take care of and manage another person. Don't give the leftovers of your love to anybody. Anybody that you genuinely care to make a relationship with. If you're not willing to put in the effort, then why bother? I'm saying all this because I really don't like how children are becoming the collateral damage of this entire birth rate declining conundrum, being treated and looked at like the scum of the earth. Even people coming up with weird insults for them like crotch goblins. And sure, it starts as a joke, right? Haha, we're just joking, until you realize a disturbing amount of people are not joking. Yes, they're annoying and they're a lot to deal with, but they didn't ask to be here. So please, if you don't have the patience nor the social community to take care of a child, don't have a child, all right? MJ said it best. If you can't feed your baby, get a dog. Or a cactus instead. I don't know, something that's low maintenance, because that's what y'all want, right? Y'all want low maintenance friendships and low maintenance relationships. That's fine, go get that. But either way, that longing to want to take care of something, of someone other than yourself, and pour yourself into something that isn't you, is a really nice feeling to have. But just make sure you actually have enough in you to be able to do that. And if you don't, that's okay. Just make sure you're aware of that. But anyways, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Thank you again to Ana Luisa for sponsoring today's video. Click the link in my description to go straight to their store. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.